Cool. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Cam. I'm one of the directors and shareholders of a fintech business called Total Processing. So a little bit about us. I'm sure if you guys have shopped online, you've entered your card details, maybe you've used Apple Pay, maybe used Klarna. We're the technology business that powers checkouts of online businesses, essentially. Pre-pandemic, we were about 15 people, and now we're just over 60, with offices in Manchester and also in Dubai. So it's been a pretty crazy journey, and I'm here today to talk about sort of how to scale a business within a customer-centric way. It's something that we're really passionate about as a business, and sort of our mission is to be the most customer-centric payments business in the world. So quite a big thing that hopefully we can go through. Let me see if it perfect. So a little bit about me. Before Total Processing, I spent 6 years working with entrepreneurs and tech businesses all around the world. I worked at KPMG in their mergers and acquisitions team, and I also worked at GP Wilhelm, which is a tech investor. Towards the last part of my career before Total Processing, I was working predominantly with Northwest-based tech businesses, helping them raise money and also helping them sell. So I saw quite a lot of different businesses, and I actually met Total Processing 2019, 2020, sort of at the foundations of what they were creating, which was a payments business really tailored towards a customer. I really liked what they were doing and decided to join the team and really believe in the mission that they were trying to create. But something that I noticed along the way is all great businesses seem to put the customer first. It's a big statement, but if you look at all of our favorite businesses, they're really good at customer service. And so when I first saw Total Processing, the business was actually born out of the founders being merchants themselves. So they ran e-commerce stores, and something they really struggled with was actually taking and accepting payments. Most people in the market were big legacy providers, spin-outs from banks. And what that meant was that if you had any kind of problem at all, you were shipped to an FAQ page or a call center that was outsourced somewhere. And so it was really difficult to get hold of anyone. At the same time, it was very convoluted in terms of pricing, very cloak and dagger. And so they really saw an opportunity to redefine that space, be more transparent, and be a really customer-focused business. I guess because they were so early, they'd created a great foundation. But in order to scale it, they needed to sort of formalize how do they actually define customer success or putting the customer first. And so one of the key things that I try to create within the business is sort of a foundation or a framework for them to really put that customer first, but in a scalable way. And something we use internally is this thing called the 4 pillars of customer success. I'll go through each one, but it's essentially throughout your entire business, and I'm sure you guys will see the same thing, noticing each of these. So the first one's personalization. Our clients are all shapes and sizes, startup businesses through to big multi-billion-dollar enterprise accounts. And each one has different needs. Maybe it's the customer service element, maybe it's the technology side. A startup, for example, might need more hand-holding from a technology play, whereas a big company with hundreds of developers probably needs less of a service. What we've really tried to do is have customer service people and salespeople who are tailored to particular industries. If you take e-commerce as an example, it's completely different to healthcare. So our guys who are working for us, they've become sort of really knowledgeable in the markets that they operate in, which is something that's quite new in this space where most of the banks have a blanket approach. You are a number rather than an actual business. The second thing is convenience. When Total Processing started, as I said, it was an FAQ page or it was an outsourced call center somewhere. But we found that taking payments is the core of actual business. If you can't take money, you can't actually run your business. And so if you've got a problem, you need to be able to get in contact with the business straight away because it's such a key part of the business. So we allow our customers to speak to us on WhatsApp, 24/7 phone calls, or we even go to their sites to work with them. That element of actually being a person and helping them is really important to us. The third thing is competence. Even if you were able to get through to someone in a call center, most of the time they would sort of log your ticket and it would go off somewhere and you'd find out a week later And even then, you probably wouldn't get a solution. What we do is we train every single person in our company to use our systems. So our customer service guys know the ins and outs of how our system works, and they're slightly technically trained. What that means is if you call up, they probably know how to solve the problem, or they can find the right person who does know. And the last thing as well is proactivity. This is sort of in two ways. The first thing is innovation-led proactivity. So if we go back sort of 3 years, Apple Pay was in its infancy. I'm sure we all now, if we want to buy something online, we double-click our iPhones and we pay for something. But 3 years ago, it was really early. We saw how important that new technology was going to be for e-commerce businesses, and we started pushing it out from our business and saying, look at this new technology, please integrate it, we've got this thing for you. But what it's going to do, it's going to really drive the conversion rates on your website to sell more. Typical businesses, if you're a bank, you're not going to tell the customers what to do. You're going to let them tell you what to do. But we found that if we're driving that element, it really helps our businesses grow. And then the second thing around proactivity is ownership. So if there are any problems, we know about them first and we try and address them. So we're very upfront with our customers. We're very communicative as well. So we spoke a bit about total processing, but we look at our favorite businesses to try and see how we can innovate like them. And one of my favorite ones is Netflix. I'm sure we all have it. I watch it for probably hours a day. But there's some really cool lessons of what these guys are doing that we've actually replicated internally. So the first thing, which is quite good, is actually the recommendations. The Netflix algorithm takes in what you like to watch and recommends things that you might like to see again or might have similar actors. But that personalization, this is quite basic. What they've done recently is actually had something called a match score. So not only do you have a recommendation, but they've taken all that data and they suggest to you how likely you are to like that film. When we saw this, and we're seeing this business do this, we thought, how can we do that for our customers? So one of the things that we like to do is, these business owners who are looking at their payments, they're really busy people. What can we show them that really adds value? What can we recommend them to look at? What charts they need to see? And sort of like we've taken this idea from Netflix, which has really added a lot of value to our customers. But even further than that, how do you become even more customer-centric? A great stat by Netflix is if you watch more than 20 hours a month, you're 75% less likely to cancel your subscription because you're consuming more, you're enjoying more about Netflix. And something that gets people watching more is actually the thumbnails. So a really interesting thing is that our thumbnails will differ. All of us will have different thumbnails for different films, depending on who we like as actors, what we resonate more to, whether it's background scenery, whether it's key actors in that thing. So, for example, if you've recently watched the Kill Bill film with Uma Thurman, you're more likely to see her on the Pulp Fiction thumbnail than John Travolta if you watched Grease recently, which is really, really interesting. And so this approach to really understanding the customer becomes super important. And for us, we took that approach when we're taking payments. So all of our customers are pretty global. They're selling in the UK, they're selling in Germany, they're selling in America. And what's quite interesting is that depending on where you are in the world, you take payments in different ways. So in the UK, it's very debit, credit card, Klarna. In Germany, they pretty much don't use credit cards. They use something called Sofort, which is a bank transfer method of payment. In the Netherlands, it's something called Ideal. And so what we actually try and do is personalize that checkout experience to where that customer is based and show them the most likely method they are to convert. And what that does in turn is it drives revenue for the businesses, it helps them grow, and it helps us grow. And I guess the other thing about Netflix that they do really well is ownership of problems. So this email is essentially them owning up to some downtime. So you've tried to go onto Netflix, tried to watch a film, but you've had some difficulty. Maybe it hasn't refreshed very well, maybe there's been some issues. They've owned up to that problem. They didn't have to do anything to tell you that something had gone wrong. But what they do is they instantly send you an email saying, look, we know you tried to watch Netflix at this time. I know you encountered some issues. We're sorry about it, and we'd like some feedback. We have the same thing at Total Processing. It's that feedback loop which really drives our business. We want to own up to our problems, but we also want to hear about what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we can improve. So Netflix is, perfect example. I love the business, and we try to learn a lot from it. But what we do at the core of our innovation is we let our customers lead our business. The business was born out of us being merchants ourselves, but now we're working with like 2,000 different companies all across different industries, and we can't decide that product ourselves. We really need to listen to people and decide what do they want to see, what's important to them. And so in order to have that same innovation that we had initially, we invite all of our customers to workshop sessions, depending on what industry they're in, depending on what size they're in. And what that allows us to do is let them lead the product. So if they're hearing from their customers that they want Bitcoin payments, it allows us to drive our own agenda and product roadmap to allow them to do what they want to do, which is, I guess, something that's really helped us grow. COVID for us has been quite an interesting thing. We pretty much accelerated online e-commerce by about 5 years because of the pandemic. Brick and mortar shops were closed, and all the attention was online. And so we were quite fortunate to be in a position to capitalize on that. And a lot of our customers end up being able to sell internationally. So they went from being a UK-based e-commerce business to selling in America, Dubai, wherever that was. And so we really learned about how to grow internationally and to listen to our customers in terms of what they're seeing in the market. This also helped us open a Dubai office. So a lot of our customers said, we really see an opportunity in Dubai and the Middle East, but the payments landscape there was really convoluted, really difficult, and quite hard to navigate. And so we decided to exploit that opportunity by moving out there, replicating the business that we've got today in Europe, but with the same international aspect. And so a lot of our customers have now been able to enter that Dubai market because we're now there as a business. In terms of what's next, we can dictate what's to come in the future. I mentioned Bitcoin, I mentioned Klarna, different alternative payment methods, but the future for us is listening to the customer. What do they want? Where do they see the market going? What do their customers see? And I think if we all take a look at what our customers say and actually listen to them, it really helps drive the future forward. Happy to take any questions on sort of what we do as a business or any questions on customer service.
So you talked about customer-led innovation. How do you create a culture of innovation within the organisation? And how do you implement that innovation?
Yeah, so I think the thing for us is that great ideas can come from anywhere. So our customer service agent might hear from a client that they really want this integrated. And so we have a really flat culture to say, if you have an idea about what we should do, say it, and it might actually happen. Because even if you're at the top, you're not hearing everything. You're not seeing the pain points that our customers face every day. So throughout our whole company, if you've got a great idea, you raise it and we talk about it and we try and do it. Cool. Thank you.